You've probably heard someone tell you to just start drinking apple cider vinegar if you want to lose weight. Maybe a neighbor swears by it. Maybe you saw it mentioned on the news, or your daughter sent you an article about it. So you tried it. A little vinegar in water, maybe first thing in the morning, hoping it would help with those stubborn pounds that never used to be a problem before. But here's the thing nobody explains to you. Most people are drinking apple cider vinegar the wrong way, at the wrong time, expecting it to do something it was never actually designed to do on its own. And that's not your fault. The internet loves a simple trick. 2 tablespoons a day, and the weight melts off, they say. But your body isn't that simple, and neither is apple cider vinegar. If you've been disappointed because the scale barely moved, or if you've wondered whether you're just wasting your time with that sour little shot every morning, stay with me for the next few minutes. Because there's a well-supported explanation for how vinegar can modestly support weight management. It has to do with something happening quietly inside your body, something most videos never even mention. It involves your blood sugar, your appetite, and hunger signals most people your age have never had explained to them clearly. Once you understand what's actually going on, you'll see why some people get real results from apple cider vinegar and why so many others give up on it far too soon. So if you've ever stood in your kitchen, vinegar bottle in hand, wondering if this is really doing anything at all, this one is for you. Let's talk about what's really happening and what you may need to change to finally see it work. Let's start with what's actually happening in your body when you eat a meal, because this is where everything else makes sense. When you eat something like a plate of pasta, a slice of toast, or that bowl of oatmeal you had this morning, your body breaks it down into sugar, which enters your bloodstream. Your pancreas then releases insulin to help move that sugar into your cells for energy. That's normal. That's healthy. That's how it's supposed to work. But here's what changes as we get older, and this is something many people never get told clearly. Our bodies often become a little less efficient at handling that blood sugar spike. Maybe your doctor has mentioned insulin resistance, or maybe you've simply noticed that your energy crashes harder after meals than it used to, or that you feel hungry again just an hour or 2 after eating a full lunch. That hunger you feel isn't weakness. It isn't a lack of willpower. It's often your blood sugar rising quickly, then dropping just as quickly, leaving your body sending out hunger signals again, even though you just ate. This is exactly where apple cider vinegar comes into the picture, and it's not magic, it's chemistry. The acetic acid in apple cider vinegar, the compound responsible for its sour taste, has been shown in a number of studies to modestly slow down how quickly your stomach empties food into your small intestine. When food moves more slowly, sugar enters your bloodstream more slowly too. That means less of a spike, less of a crash, and less of that false hunger that sends so many people back to the pantry looking for something sweet just a couple hours after dinner. Think about the last time you felt that sudden urge for something sugary in the late afternoon. Maybe you told yourself it was just a craving. But for a lot of people, especially those managing blood sugar swings, that craving is your body's response to a sugar crash, not genuine hunger. This is why many people who add a little vinegar before a meal report feeling fuller longer and eating a bit less without even trying to restrict themselves. It's not willpower. It's biology working in your favor, at least in a modest way. But here's where it gets interesting and where most people get it wrong. The timing of when you drink that vinegar and what you drink it with matters far more than most videos ever explain. And that mistake is likely part of the reason your results have been disappointing so far. So let's talk about that mistake, because chances are you've made it without even knowing. Most people drink apple cider vinegar first thing in the morning on a completely empty stomach, almost like taking medicine. It feels responsible. It feels like you're doing something proactive for your health before the day even starts. But here's what most people don't realize. Drinking straight vinegar on an empty stomach does very little for blood sugar control because there's no meal there for it to slow down in the first place. Remember, the benefit comes from slowing the digestion of food. If there's no food present, the vinegar has nothing to work with. It just sits there, irritating an empty stomach, which is part of why so many people complain about that burning sensation in their throat or chest and end up giving up on it within a week. There's another misunderstanding that's just as common. Many people assume that more is better. If 2 tablespoons is good, surely 4 tablespoons will work twice as fast, right? This is one of the more common mistakes among older adults trying to manage their weight naturally. Taking large amounts of undiluted vinegar can irritate the lining of your esophagus and stomach over time, and can also affect tooth enamel, especially if you're sipping it repeatedly throughout the day rather than drinking it properly diluted. Let me tell you about someone many of you might relate to. A woman I'll call Linda, 68 years old, a retired schoolteacher, started drinking vinegar every morning because her sister told her it worked wonders. 2 tablespoons straight, first thing before coffee. 3 weeks later, nothing had changed on the scale, and her stomach had started bothering her every morning. She almost gave up entirely, convinced the whole thing was just another wellness fad that didn't work for her body. The problem wasn't the vinegar. The problem was the approach. What actually helps is drinking a properly diluted amount, generally 1 to 2 tablespoons in a full glass of water, consumed shortly before a meal, not instead of 1, and not hours away from 1. That small shift in timing changes things, because now the vinegar is present in your stomach right as food arrives, ready to do the job it's actually capable of doing. And there's something else worth knowing. Vinegar doesn't just affect blood sugar. Some early research has also pointed to a possible effect on hunger hormones like ghrelin, which plays a role in how full and satisfied you feel after eating. That evidence is still preliminary, and the effect appears modest, but for some people, even a small improvement in that fullness signal, something so many people your age struggle with silently, can make a real difference. That's the part almost nobody tells you. This isn't just about blood sugar. It's also potentially about your body's ability to tell you when you've had enough. And when that signal works a little better, the way you eat and how much you eat can shift with less effort than you'd expect. Now that you understand what's actually happening inside your body, let's talk about how to put this into practice, because the details here matter more than people realize. Start with timing. The best window is roughly 15 to 20 minutes before a meal, not right as you're sitting down to eat, and not hours before or after. This gives the vinegar time to begin its work in your stomach before food arrives, so it can do its job slowing digestion right from the start. Next, dilution. This is where so many people go wrong. 1 to 2 tablespoons in a full 8-ounce glass of water is the sweet spot for most people. Some people like to start smaller, just 1 tablespoon, especially if they've never tried it before, and gradually work up from there as their body adjusts. There's no prize for jumping straight to the maximum amount. Slow and steady works better here, and it's much easier on your stomach. A lot of people also ask about the type of vinegar. Look for one that's raw and unfiltered, the kind with what looks like little cloudy strands floating in the bottle, often called the mother. It doesn't offer meaningfully different weight management benefits than filtered vinegar, since the acetic acid we've been discussing is present in both. Some people simply prefer it as the less processed option. Either way, it doesn't need to be fancy or expensive. Here's a detail that surprises people, and it's an important one. If you're taking any medication, especially for blood sugar or blood pressure, this is worth a real conversation with your doctor or pharmacist before adding vinegar as a regular habit. This matters even more if you have diabetes with any degree of delayed stomach emptying, sometimes called gastroparesis, since vinegar's effect on slowing digestion can add to that issue and affect blood sugar control in ways that aren't helpful. This isn't meant to scare you. It's meant to help you use this safely, the same way you'd check before starting any new supplement or habit. Now, let's talk about consistency, because this is where Linda's story turns around. After adjusting her approach, diluting properly, and drinking it before meals instead of on an empty stomach, she stopped experiencing that burning discomfort almost immediately. But the real change came from something she didn't expect. She started noticing she wasn't reaching for seconds at dinner as often as she used to. Not because she was forcing herself to stop, but because she felt satisfied a little sooner. That's the part that matters most here. This isn't about restriction. It's about giving your body a bit of support so it can send its natural signals a little more clearly again. One more detail worth knowing. Pairing your vinegar habit with a short walk after meals, even just 10 minutes around the block or a couple of laps around the backyard, has also been linked to better post-meal blood sugar control. The two work well together. The vinegar helps slow the spike, and gentle movement helps your body use that sugar more efficiently instead of storing it. Neither one needs to be extreme. Small, steady habits, done consistently, tend to outperform anything drastic in the long run. So let's bring this all together, because by now you understand something most people never take the time to learn. Apple cider vinegar isn't a magic weight loss trick, and it was never meant to be one. What it actually offers is modest support, a gentle nudge to a system in your body that may not be working quite as efficiently as it used to. It can help slow down how quickly sugar enters your bloodstream. It may help that fullness signal work a little better. And when those two things start working together, some people do see results follow more naturally, without the struggle they expected. Part of the reason vinegar helps with weight isn't about burning fat directly. It's about easing some of the obstacles that have been working against you. The blood sugar swings, the false hunger, the feeling of never quite being satisfied. Once those start to ease, even a little, your body has an easier time finding its natural balance again. Remember what actually matters here. Diluted, not straight. Before meals, not on an empty stomach. Raw and unfiltered if you prefer it, though filtered works too. Consistency over intensity. And if you're on medication or managing diabetes, a quick conversation with your doctor first, just to be safe. If you've tried apple cider vinegar before and felt discouraged because nothing seemed to change, I hope you can see now that the problem was never you. It was often the approach. Small adjustments, made consistently, are often the difference between giving up on something and finally feeling it work the way it was supposed to. You don't need to overhaul your entire life to see change. You just need the right information, applied the right way. And now you have it. If this helped you understand something you've been wondering about for a while, you know what to do. Stay curious about your health. Keep asking the questions that matter, and I'll see you in the next one.